8:45 p.m. Then we're going to have some entertainment. Remember, as I said, we're going to be having Fena Gitu, the phenomenal woman, and Jerai performing for us right on this stage. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Mic check, 1, 2. Mic check. Check it.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day.
Karibuni sana to our session. This session is hosted by KEWOPA, which is the Kenya Women Parliamentary Association, co-hosted with the Danish Embassy in Nairobi. And we'd like to begin. We do have some programs just to show you what we're expecting, but we'll be discussing about inspiring inclusion, which is based on the current theme of the International Women's Day. So karibuni sana, feel at home. We will try to make it as an interactive panel as possible. We don't want the panelists to talk to you. We want to also listen to the people. So as we await for our Deputy Chairperson, Honorable Elachi, I'd like us to have Thomas, who will be representing the ambassador. The ambassador has just been called for a quick appointment, and he has, of course, to carry out his duties. So we have a representative from the Danish Embassy who will give the remarks before he also steps out, and then we can pick up the conversation. So, karibu, Thomas. I'll be assisted by my co-moderator here, who is Dorcas Langat. When we talk about inspiring inclusion, how are we also including young women in spaces like this? She's a student and she will also introduce herself. So, karibuni sana, Thomas.
Thank you so much, Mercy, and good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Pleasure to see you, and thank you for being quite timely. We're firmly behind the female candidates who wanted to put their candidacy forward for election, be it at MCA, at Senate, whatever, National Assembly. We also saw how, if you come forward as a female candidate, there's a good likelihood that somebody will say, but you are married. You should stay home with your husband, you should stay home with your kids. If you are not married, there must be something wrong with you. If you have kids, be with the kids. If you don't have kids, then there must be a problem, no? You cannot be a serious candidate. And often on social media, on TikTok, WhatsApp groups, whatever, these things are done in a much more harmful way. So I think it's fair to say that a lot of female potential candidates never become true candidates because they're afraid to put their name forward. It also goes to say, without access to resources, to money, it's difficult to campaign politically in Kenya. And it can be difficult if the meeting is set at 9 p.m. in the evening. It's not necessarily the time of the day where women are able to participate. It's another way to exclude women. But we are here because this year's theme is to inspire inclusion. It is to try and address those stereotypes we all have and see if we can do a lot better. So let me end by pointing to some of these women who can inspire all of us, inspire positive change. I believe that by studying their journey, learning from them, maybe we can move all our minds and have a culture where women and men are treated equally. Looking at Kenya, and now I'm afraid of being political here because I'm mentioning some political people. I'm not mentioning because I have a particular preference for their political party program or whatever. I'm mentioning Martha Karua, Charity Ngilu, and Amina Mohammed as examples of women. I have no opinion on their political program, but I have an opinion on the fact that they came forward and they made it as politicians in a very, very complicated, sometimes harmful, hateful context. That takes a lot of courage, and that for that reason I believe these and many others we have to respect. Another partner to the embassy, a dear friend, is Her Ladyship Martha Koome, the President of the Supreme Court of Kenya, the first female president. I think another source of inspiration, and the list goes on. My colleague Halima, seated right here, together attended the launch of the so-called G7 strategy. Those are the 7 female governors who came together yesterday in Nairobi and presented a plan for how we can empower and make sure that more women make it to important political posts. And now we come to the picture. The lady. So this lady, it says on top, it says, women who change the world. Now, she brings Kenya and Denmark together like no one else. Her name is Karen Blixen. Karen, as in Karen in Nairobi. She lived here about 100 years ago. She lived here from 1914 to 1931. Her life is immortalized in the movie Out of Africa, which is the reason why many American tourists, they go to visit her old farm in Karen. She spent probably the highlight of her life in Kenya. There was no TikTok at the time, so she had to write a lot of letters back to her family in Denmark. And in 1923, exactly more or less 100 years ago, she wrote to her mother about, and by Karen here, to see if we can do a lot better. Hopefully we will not wait another 100 years to achieve not just gender equality and the same formal opportunities, but really getting to the bottom of the stereotypes we all carry around. So let's seek inspiration from those people that I have mentioned to you, those women. So in conclusion, I call on all individuals, organizations here, to join us all, take concrete support and empower women wherever we can in all communities, be it in Kenya, be it in Denmark, all counties. And that way I hope we will have a more inclusive word for all. So with those words, I really thank you for coming. For now, the real deal starts. The strong panel here that will be introduced. And my embassy will be here with me all. I have to tell you one thing. I am first and foremost a father of a family. And today it's my son's birthday, so that's why I'm dashing away. So I want to be with him. Halima, Johannes, Amalie, other colleagues from the embassy are 100% committed to the dialogue we'll have here. I wish you a very good exchange. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have gotten so much words from him, and any comments or questions, please kindly raise your hand.
Hello. Sorry, my voice is a bit hoarse, but my name is Denzel, and I just have a question for you specifically. So speech writing is based on trust between the drafter and the deliverer. I ask that people trust that the questions I'll ask today are in the best interests of the African child. And my question for you specifically, number one, is knowing whatever plans that the Kingdom of Denmark has established to ensure its long-term survival in the coming ages, what would you advise a woman in Kenya who's less than 1 month pregnant, with a lot of black tax, baggage, and a mid-level bachelor's in public management to do, so that she can navigate her choices in the next 10 years, such that she'll have used the time that's coming through in the next 10 years to her advantage, even though she's carrying a lot of black tax baggage? What choices should she start being? You've told us the story of Karen, and she got to a point where cutting her hair was a brave, bold choice in an era where women cutting hair was not popular. I don't think it was a popular move. I think it was a bold move. So now, what are the bold moves she has to make, and what are the popular moves she has to stop making, so that when this child comes through in 10 years, when the child is 10 years, she can look back and say, I used my time as a mother of a child between 0 and 10 very well.
Thank you so much, and thank you also for paying attention, clearly, from your question. I'm an extremely strong believer in education. I think the workforce we have here in Kenya is one of the best educated on this continent. So there are good opportunities. Education, education, education. Denmark is strongly invested in health and many other things. But personally, I think that's my own kids have to pick in school in a few minutes. That is really the key thing. And then, of course, we parents, we have an immense responsibility to transfer good values to our children. But I think for her daughter, if it is a daughter, we men, we have a lot to do, no? Because we are the ones framing some of the issues and challenges that I discussed before. We need to do our homework. We need to work with our own perceptions, our own stereotypes. We are doing a lot of harm without even realizing it sometimes, because it's so deeply ingrained in us. So we need to think about how we can create a framework where women have better chances. But as a woman, never doubt, never aim high. If there is a position or a high school or university you want to go for, don't think, it's probably not for me, it's probably for someone else or somebody more privileged. You have to go for it. That would be my short, but of course I'm not naive. I realize it's a tough environment to operate in, but still, believe in yourself, go for it, and we men, let's see if we can do a little bit better to help her along. That would be my choice. Thank you. I have one last and I need to move.
Okay, one last question from the audience before we release Thomas. Do you have a question? Comments? Okay, looks like you've done well.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Thomas and the Embassy of Denmark. So I'll do a quick introduction of today's event, and then we'll introduce our panel. Then we can start the discussions. I said we'll have a interactive session. So as you all know, this year's campaign theme for International Women's Day is Inspire Inclusion. But what does this mean? So Inspire Inclusion emphasizes the importance of diversity and empowerment in all aspects of the society. And this year's campaign underscores the crucial role of inclusion in achieving gender equality. It calls for action to break down barriers, challenge stereotypes, and create environments where all women are valued and respected. One of the key pillars of Inspire Inclusion is the promotion of diversity in leadership and decision-making positions. And you know that's our forte as the Kenya Women Parliamentary Association. That's why we wake up every morning to ensure that we have more women in leadership positions, both at the national level and at the county level. And that's why you see here we have a panel our panelists who are drawn from the National Assembly and the Senate, and we've also tried to bring in the other diversities, young women. Actually, I think we have a panel of young women, entire. Denita, we can also call you young at heart. Yeah, and so we are striving to ensure that as we talk even about the 2/3 gender rule, there was a panel earlier on this same tent talking about the 2/3 gender rule, and I had the young women asking and the persons with disabilities asking, while we are discussing the 2/3 gender rule, are we considering these other marginalized groups that the Constitution has given a right as well to be represented? So I think I'll ask Dorcas right now to introduce our panelists, then we can get on to the questions. Karibu sana.
All right, guys, so today is Happy International Women's Day, and we have very phenomenal women in our front. So starting from my right, we have Honorable Njeri Maina, who is women representative for Kirinyaga County, and she has been a member for the Legal Justice and Affairs. And she is very phenomenal and speaks out loud, and we love you for that. And next is Crystal Asige, who's nominated Senator for Persons with Disability, and she likes to introduce herself as VIP. You can ask her what that means in full. And she's also been inspiring inclusion by talking out and also bringing conversations which are always seen as they open up conversations in our country and also bring change. And we also like to hear more from you. And then next we have Maria Siombua, who is a law student at Strathmore University. And she also advocates for inclusion and champions for persons with disability and young women. And we will be hearing more from her. And last is Denita Gatti, who is former senator, and she has been very phenomenal. We've heard from her for a long time, and she was also part of the conversation that just ended, and we would like to hear more from them. So karibuni sana, ladies, and karibu the audience. You are free and ask many questions as possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dorcas. Before we start the panel discussion, our deputy chair has arrived. So I'll ask her to just come in because she wants to go back to her event. She's currently running an event at Girls Secondary School today to commemorate the International Women's Day. So karibu sana, Honorable Beatrice Elachi, our deputy chair, also the member for Dagoretti North, to give opening remarks. Tumkaribisha na makofi.
Thank you very much, and first my apologies for coming in late. We have a function at Lavington Girls with all the girls and a few women, and but because today is International Women's Day, let me just first celebrate every person who is here, who has come into this world through a womb of a woman. We salute all the women, our mothers, our daughters, and we say that as women, I think there's nothing else we can give this world except to refuge the world by ensuring we bring to what God said, that child. I think that is the only gift God gave us. And we shall refuge Europe, because I can see they've gone in another world. So the African womb will refuge Europe one day. But having said that, I want to appreciate the panelists, and indeed all of them are my colleagues in the world that we are in, where we also work to ensure that we advance the achievements of women and girls in this country. And to say that where we have reached as KEWOPA, I think we can count the gains, but we can also say we need to achieve more so that we work together. And it's not just about women, it's about all of us. That indeed when we empower both men and women in this country, then we will find ourselves with a space where each person can really appreciate and say, yes, I belong to Kenya, and indeed I'm a Kenyan. And so today, as we celebrate the many, many women who we have rode on their shoulders to find ourselves where we are here today, the trailblazers of this country, we want to tell them, you've brought us far, but we know it is our duty now to ensure every child in this country will feel appreciated and it's able to achieve just the basic needs that we have indeed in our Bill of Rights. So as you celebrate today, look back and reflect. Remember your mom. I hope each of one of you called either your mom, your grandma, your sister, wherever you are today. If you haven't, please call your mom. Just get to know how she is, if she's at home. But then more importantly, as we go forward, we need to ask ourselves as a country, because it seems like women must speak and speak and speak and call for action every time they will need something. We are praying that we will come to a time where you realize it's not about equality, it's about equity. It's about what we can share, what each of us can do to make that space better. So things about equality, I always tell people, no, God knows why I have that strength as a woman, that I can carry a child and I can still go to the farm and I will carry water on my head and I'll come back and cook for you and I'll wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning to ensure you go to school. He knows why that woman was given that strength. And he knows why you as a man was given another strength to take care, to provide, to ensure, to love. And so as we celebrate, please let us ensure we celebrate understanding. It is equity we talk about, and therefore development is what we are saying. If both men and women are in the development space of this country will change. If women are in spaces of leadership, this country will change. And we have seen with the 7 governors the fantastic work they are doing in their counties, and we must celebrate them because they have started showing that when a woman is in a position, that area that space will change, and young people will find a space to do what they believe in, to bring in technology, to bring in innovation, and have a space like any other person. So as we walk a journey together, I want to thank Danida for giving us that space. We say thank you very much, and we'll continue to work around this space so that we ensure, even as in Parliament, that we are able to bring in laws that are of a gender lens that can take care of this country. With those few remarks, I want to say, enjoy yourselves. Think about Kenya. Think about yourself mentally. Take care of yourself, and we celebrate you, and happy International Women's Day. Thank you very much.
Asante sana, our Deputy Chair, and we release you. Thank you very much. I'd like to recognize our final panelists, Honorable Bridget Songok, an MCA from Nandi County. So I think we'll get right into it. First of all, I'd like to speak to Honorable Njeri, Honorable Crystal, and also the politicians. What do you think is the significance of having women in decision-making spaces and in bodies like in Parliament? Because why are we fighting for this two-thirds gender rule? Since 2010, when the Constitution was promulgated, we've been talking about ensuring that the two-thirds gender rule is actualized. What is the role of having these women in these decision-making bodies? So let me start at this corner. Can we have another roving mic?
Thank you. A happy International Women's Day to all the amazing women. I think for me, it's the perspective of what women bring to the table and how they see things. I was reading this book called Lean In, and Cheryl says one day she goes to this executive meeting and she's like, oh, I need to use the bathroom. And they're like, oh, we do not have bathrooms. So she's like, do you mean that when you guys are having meetings, you know, no one needs to use a bathroom? And you can see from how she brings it out that women have a different kind of perspective. On the floor of Parliament, just the other day, we were discussing mental health matters and the emotional burden of leadership. And we were saying there's no desk in Parliament to cater for that. There's no maybe breastfeeding crest for members of Parliament who are women with young children. And you wonder, I mean, it is a whole National Assembly, and it is where the legislation is done. But we haven't thought about catering for women like that in the 21st century. I'm a young woman, perhaps maybe I would want to have a kid or two during my tenure in Parliament. I also want to ensure that I represent my people and aggravate and push for their agenda. It doesn't mean that I have to put one on hold to do the other. I can actually, and I have the capacity, and all women have the capacity to do both of them, but then they must be given the conducive environment to thrive. So for me, in terms of legislation, it is a
Thank you. Senator Crystal Asige is my name, ODM is my party, Mombasa is my county. You were told that They call me VIP kwa ground. It means visually impaired person. I'm the only visually impaired person in both houses of parliament. With over 400 MPs, ni mimi peke, who is blind, and a woman, and a person with disability. I have been able to pass, so far, with unanimous votes in the Senate, 4 bills, and I have 6 more that I'm drafting. Hopefully, by the time 2027 comes around, you'll hear that I have 10 bills that I have passed through Parliament. I'm also one of the highest performing senators in Parliament at the moment, ranked top amongst the top performing women parliamentarians. And that is some of the reasons why women with disabilities must be at the decision-making table. The things that I have achieved, the things that I am striving to achieve for the agenda of inclusion, of diversity, and of persons with disabilities, mainstreaming our community. That is the reason why women with disabilities must be on the decision-making table. Also, I moved a motion that discussed femicide in the country. I don't know if you saw a couple of weeks back, parliamentarians, women parliamentarians, dressing up in black to, instead of red, that is, on Valentine's Day, to commemorate and to celebrate and to appreciate the lives of those we've lost in femicide. That is a reason why a woman like me with disability needed to be on this decision-making table, so that I can push these issues that I believe in as a woman with disability, but also as a human rights defender. I've come from grassroots. I understand all of these issues, and I can articulate those issues because of the education, because of the opportunity, and because of the open doors that women have given me in the past, so that I can walk through and be able to sit at this decision-making table. This is why representation is extremely key. We can't have people speaking for us when we're not there. That's why I believe that it's extremely important for women who have any aspiration, especially if you are currently already in a political party, if you're already in the disability league of your political party as a woman with disability, for you to step out and to make sure that your anonymity is a thing of the past. You have to stand out. I can't see you guys. I can't see you, and that's why I had to make you see me. There's no other choice I had. Otherwise, you wouldn't hear me, you wouldn't see me, and you wouldn't understand the things that visually impaired women go through, women with disabilities are going through. And it wouldn't have given me this opportunity to be able to push an agenda that has been started by phenomenal women like Danita over here, our sister, our champion of disability. Without her, I would not be able to be standing on such strong shoulders to continue that push, isn't it? So when one woman opens a door and steps through, she needs to wedge her foot, tuko nyuma. You understand? If I move forward, I need to make sure that I open the door so that the next woman comes through. That's what Danita has been able to do for me, and that's what I hope to be able to do for more women with disabilities. And that's the reason, and there are many more, why women with disabilities must be on the decision-making table. Thank you.
Okay, Maria, you can also answer why do you think it's important to have women represented in political bodies? Same question, why is it important to have women in decision-making spaces, like in parliament?
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Maria Muneni. I'm a law student at Strathmore University, and I'm the only panelist without the honorable name, but inshallah, I'll have it. Yes, yes. So the question about inclusion of women in parliament. And I thank you for Crystal Asige saying about her leaving the door wide open for the others to have the opportunity to go in. So as for the youth and women with disability, the opening of the door gives us a way to have the opportunity who have given us the opportunity to represent themselves, and also who have given us the cries, the challenges they have faced since kama sisi the youths huwa tunasikilizana, and the youths have the umoja pamoja, which gives us the strength to push further for the challenges so that the solutions can come in. So in my conclusion is that having the inclusion for women in parliament and for the youth will really have the opportunity to give us the way forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. My name is Honorable Denita Gati. I come from the county that is Migori, and I've been the Member of Parliament for persons with disabilities in the National Assembly. I served with Honorable Sankok, and I'm glad to see my sister here, Crystal, doing amazing work. And I want to thank Kewopa, because mukiangalia hapa mbele, I think today you decided that it is women with disabilities. So patia hao makofi, because sio rahisi uone women with disabilities ni Mheshimiwa Njeri tu ndio naona si hana disability as such. But that is a very good step. And I think it's also because the theme of International Women's Day is what?
Inspire inclusion.
Inspire inclusion. Yes. And there is nothing in inclusion if disability is not included. Because we might not